Eggs. Eggs are one of the oldest human protein sources, eaten long before farming began. Domesticated chickens likely spread from Southeast Asia more than 4,000 years ago, and by ancient Rome, eggs were already a common kitchen staple. A large chicken egg contains about 6 grams of protein, mostly concentrated in the white, while the yolk provides fat, vitamins, and minerals. Eggs are produced naturally by hens, then graded by size, shell quality, and freshness in many countries. Their texture changes dramatically with heat, soft and custardy when gently cooked, firm and springy when boiled. Because they foam, bind, thicken, and emulsify, eggs became one of the most versatile ingredients in global cooking. Chicken breast. Chicken breast became a dominant protein source in the 20th century, especially after industrial poultry farming expanded after World War II. Earlier, chickens were often kept for eggs, but selective breeding created larger birds with more breast meat. Skinless chicken breast is valued because it contains around 30 grams of protein per 100 grams, with relatively little fat. It is usually butchered from the pectoral muscle, chilled and sold fresh or frozen. Its flavor is mild, which makes it adaptable to grilling, poaching, roasting, or shredding. The texture can be tender when cooked carefully, but because the meat is lean, it quickly becomes dry if overheated. Beef. Beef has been eaten since cattle were domesticated around 10,000 years ago in parts of the Near East and South Asia. Over time, cattle became symbols of wealth, labor, and food security, especially in pastoral societies. Beef contains complete protein, iron, zinc, and vitamin B12, with protein levels often around 26 grams per 100 grams when cooked. It is made by butchering cattle into cuts such as brisket, ribeye, sirloin, and shank, each with different fat and connective tissue levels. Slow-cooked cuts become soft as collagen melts into gelatin, while steaks are prized for juicy texture and browned, savory crust. Its deep flavor comes from fat, age, breed, and cooking method. Pork. Pork became a major protein source after pigs were domesticated independently in China and the Near East around 9,000 years ago. Pigs were efficient farm animals because they grew quickly and could eat food scraps, making pork common in many settled agricultural societies. Pork provides about 25 to 30 grams of protein per 100 grams when cooked, depending on the cut. It can be cured into ham, smoked into bacon, minced into sausages, or roasted whole for ceremonies. In many countries, pork products must meet strict curing, temperature, and labeling standards because improper handling can cause foodborne illness. Its flavor ranges from mild and sweet to intensely salty, smoky, and fatty. Fish. Fish has been a crucial protein source for coastal and river communities since prehistoric times. Archaeological evidence from shell middens and ancient fishing tools shows humans were catching fish tens of thousands of years ago. Fish protein is complete and often highly digestible, with lean species like cod containing about 18 grams of protein per 100 grams, while oily fish such as salmon also provide omega-3 fats. Fish can be caught wild or farmed through aquaculture, then sold fresh, frozen, smoked, dried, or canned. Its texture depends on muscle structure: flaky in white fish, firm and rich in tuna, silky in salmon. Fresh fish is prized for clean, delicate flavor. Shrimp. Shrimp has been eaten for centuries in coastal regions from Southeast Asia to the Gulf of Mexico. Before refrigeration, shrimp was often dried, salted, or fermented into pastes and sauces that added protein and deep umami flavor. Modern shrimp farming expanded rapidly in the late 20th century, especially in countries such as Thailand, India, Vietnam, and Ecuador. Cooked shrimp contains about 24 grams of protein per 100 grams and very little fat. It is usually peeled, deveined, chilled, or frozen soon after harvest. When cooked, shrimp turns pink because heat releases astaxanthin pigments from protein bonds. Its texture is springy and slightly sweet, but it becomes rubbery if cooked too long. Milk. Milk became a major protein source after humans domesticated cattle, goats, and sheep around 8,000 to 10,000 years ago. Early adults often had difficulty digesting lactose, but genetic lactase persistence spread in some pastoral populations, especially in Europe and parts of Africa. Cow's milk contains about 3.4 grams of protein per 100 milliliters, mainly casein and whey. It is collected from dairy animals, filtered, pasteurized, homogenized, and often fortified with vitamins. Pasteurization standards were introduced to reduce pathogens, especially after the 19th century discoveries of Louis Pasteur. Milk has a mild, slightly sweet flavor, a smooth texture, and a unique ability to become cheese, yogurt, butter, or protein powder. Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt developed from ancient strained yogurt traditions found across the Eastern Mediterranean, Balkans, and Middle East. Yogurt itself dates back thousands of years, likely discovered when milk stored in animal skins fermented naturally from lactic acid bacteria. Greek-style yogurt is made by fermenting milk with bacterial cultures, then straining out whey to concentrate the solids. This gives it more protein than regular yogurt, often 8 to 10 grams per 100 grams. Commercial standards vary by country, but real strained yogurt should be made from milk and live cultures, not just thickened with starches. Its flavor is tangy and creamy, with a dense texture that works in both sweet and savory dishes. Cheese. Cheese is one of the oldest preserved protein foods, with evidence of cheesemaking dating back over 7,000 years in Europe and the Near East. It likely began when milk stored in animal stomachs reacted with natural rennet, separating into curds and whey. Cheese is made by coagulating milk proteins, draining liquid, salting the curds, and often aging them with bacteria or molds. Protein levels vary widely. Parmesan can contain over 30 grams per 100 grams, while fresh cheeses contain less because they hold more water. Many traditional cheeses are legally protected by origin rules, such as Parmigiano Reggiano in Italy. Cheese can be soft, crumbly, elastic, sharp, nutty, or intensely aromatic. Lentils. Lentils are among the earliest domesticated crops, grown in the Fertile Crescent more than 9,000 years ago. They became important because they stored well, cooked faster than many beans, and provided protein in diets with little meat. Dried lentils contain around 24 grams of protein per 100 grams, though cooked lentils contain less by weight because they absorb water. They are harvested from small pods, dried, split, or left whole, and sold in varieties such as brown, green, red, and black. Lentils are rich in fiber and minerals, but like most legumes, they are lower in methionine than animal proteins. Their texture ranges from creamy and soft to firm and earthy. Chickpeas. Chickpeas were domesticated in the Middle East around 7,500 years ago and later spread across India, North Africa, and the Mediterranean. They became the foundation of foods such as hummus, falafel, chana masala, and farinata. Dried chickpeas contain about 19 grams of protein per 100 grams, along with fiber, starch, and minerals. They are soaked and boiled, roasted into snacks, ground into flour, or blended into pastes. Chickpea flour is especially important in South Asian cooking, where it is used for batters, pancakes, and sweets. Their flavor is nutty and slightly earthy, with a texture that becomes creamy when cooked but crisp and dense when fried or roasted. Tofu. Tofu originated in China over 2,000 years ago, traditionally linked to the Han Dynasty, though its exact inventor is uncertain. It is made by soaking soybeans, grinding them with water, boiling the mixture into soy milk, and coagulating the proteins with salts, such as calcium sulfate or magnesium chloride. The curds are then pressed into blocks. Firm tofu contains about 8 to 15 grams of protein per 100 grams, depending on water content. Because soy is a complete plant protein, tofu became especially important in Buddhist vegetarian cuisine. Its flavor is mild and slightly bean-like, but its texture can range from custard-soft silken tofu to dense, chewy pressed tofu that absorbs sauces easily. Tempeh. Tempeh originated in Indonesia, especially on the island of Java, where it has been made for several centuries. Unlike tofu, which uses soy milk, tempeh uses whole-cooked soybeans fermented with rhizopus mold. During fermentation, the mold binds the beans into a firm white cake and breaks down some compounds, making the soy easier to digest. Tempeh contains about 19 grams of protein per 100 grams, and also provides fiber because the whole bean remains intact. Traditional tempeh is wrapped in banana leaves, though modern production often uses perforated plastic. Its flavor is nutty, mushroom-like, and slightly earthy, with a firm texture that can be sliced, fried, grilled, or crumbled. Peanut butter. Peanut butter became popular in the United States in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, though peanuts themselves originated in South America thousands of years earlier. Early versions were promoted as a soft, protein-rich food, and commercial production expanded after roasting and grinding technology improved. Peanut butter is made by roasting peanuts, removing skins, grinding them into paste, and sometimes adding salt, sugar, or stabilizing oils. It contains about 25 grams of protein per 100 grams, but also a high amount of fat and calories. In the United States, products labeled peanut butter must contain at least 90% peanuts. Its texture ranges from smooth and creamy to crunchy, with a roasted, slightly sweet flavor. Whey protein. Whey protein comes from the liquid left behind during cheesemaking. For centuries, whey was treated as a byproduct or animal feed, but modern filtration technology turned it into one of the most concentrated protein ingredients. Whey contains fast-digesting milk proteins, especially beta-lactoglobulin and alpha-lactalbumin. It is made by filtering whey to remove water, fat, and lactose, then drying it into powder. Whey, concentrate, isolate, and hydrolysate differ mainly in protein percentage and processing level, with isolates often reaching 90% protein by dry weight. Its flavor is naturally milky and slightly sweet, but commercial powders are often flavored. When mixed with water, it becomes creamy, foamy, and easy to drink. Quinoa. Quinoa was first domesticated in the Andean region of South America, especially around modern Peru and Bolivia more than 5,000 years ago. The Inca considered it an important crop because it could grow in high altitudes, poor soils, and cold conditions. Although often treated like a grain, quinoa is technically a seed from the amaranth family. It contains about 14 grams of protein per 100 grams dry weight and is notable for having a better amino acid balance than many cereals. Before cooking, quinoa is usually rinsed to remove saponins, bitter natural compounds on the seed coat. Once cooked, it becomes fluffy with a slight pop, mild nuttiness, and tiny curled germ rings.